Hey there, welcome back to NewCity. It's been a little while since I've opened up the game. Full disclosure, I was sort of cheating on NewCity with Project Hospital, and the deepest rabbit hole of rabbit holes I have ever discovered, Factorio, which, oh my goodness, that is quite an undertaking. But anyway, I decided to pop open NewCity again here and see what's come out lately. And clearly I have been sadly out of the loop. I just popped open the latest city I'd been working on, and oh my goodness, the developers have not been resting. They have come out with a bunch of new features that I have not had time to wrap my head around. So let's give it a look, see what's going on here. This city is a bit of a design iteration on the city from my previous video that I got to 600,000. As you can see, I'm not quite there yet. Our population is steadily increasing here. I think I can probably get it there. The developer Lone Pine was cool enough to grace the comments section of that video and give me some pointers that I should get some mass transit going on, which I had played with a little bit in the previous city. Ran into some issues with it. I wasn't really happy with how it looked, but the updates that they've come out with, let's just look at that. So I think that was 54.6, and there have been 4 updates since then. And just look at all the features with each update. Oh my goodness, I read through these earlier, but digesting them all, whew, there's so much. These guys are awesome. What? I don't even know where to start. This latest one, 55.1. Oh my goodness, the custom building designer, so many features that make that so much cooler. Really excited to kind of get back into this. But let's look at what's going on with this city. This is it's just another big giant honkin' city that I made. Very much in the same vein of the previous city. You can see the layout is even more cookie cutter. Very similar neighborhood structure layouts with diamond traffic loops at all the major intersections, trying to minimize the number of stops that people have to go through. And then the difference with this one is I planned out where my university was going to go right from the start, because the university drove density quite a bit around it. And so I put that a little bit more central to the city. Here's the entire layout as it is so far. You can see I've got my agricultural, the industrial borders between the agricultural and the residential, and I went with just a single-sided layout. The previous one had 2 sides. You had agriculture and industrial on both sides of your residential, and then it kind of expanded out to the sides. This one I've just got, I split it right down the middle. I went with residential on one side, agricultural on the other, and I left some space for some industrial, and then have just been populating that out. Then I just went over some of the residential zones with office space and retail. Oh, I'm having to rework my brain to the NewCity terminology. It's been a little while. It's no good. Let's look at how I've got things zoned here. You can see the university is really the key centerpiece of this city so far. I've got some office space kind of coming down the main corridors out of the industrial area. And in order to keep things symmetrical, I've got a little bit of a weird layout on the border zones between the industrial and the residential side. But I like it. It seems to be working pretty well so far. Again, I haven't opened this particular city in this update, so I'm interested to see how it performs as we let it run here for a little while. I noticed in the update notes they changed how the snow appears, and apparently the grid texture is much more visible through the snow, so I'm excited to see how that works. We're in the autumn right now. We should be coming up on the winter pretty soon. Hopefully we'll get a nice look at that. I've got the night turned on because I've got quite a few tall buildings showing up. And just look at this. One of the things they changed about the building designer is you can add I can't remember what they call them, but little extra items. Previously the buildings were just basic shapes that you could size differently, but now you can put, look at this, they've got big giant antennas and a heliport on top of these buildings. Oh, that's so cool. Is that looks like the rooftop HVAC unit looks a little bit different. That's so cool. I spent quite a bit of time playing with the custom building designer as well. Let's see if we can find one of the buildings I designed. Oh yeah, here's one. This is a residential apartment complex that I made. Just got a little awning, some shrubberies, a little walkway coming up to it. It looks kind of like a some apartment buildings around where I live. Ooh, lights came on, very nice. There's another one I made that's a little bit lower density. So we can find one of those that I looked at Google Maps and came up with the design based on an actual apartment building. I thought I saw some of them. Oh yeah, here we go. So these two here, these are another custom building design that I made that's based on an actual apartment complex not far from where I live. Looks kind of cool. The little structures on top here, I assume they're vents and air conditioning units. They kind of merged together with the other structure, but that's alright. Still looks very cool. So I also saw some questions in the comments from my previous videos about how do I get to the charts that I've been looking at. So there's a couple different charts that I'm looking at. The main ones, you click on the population button, or the population number here, the little men's room icon. And it will show you 2 charts. And then if you hit the plus button here, it will give you 6 total charts. Then for what I actually want to display here, you can click where this arrow is on any of them, and it will let you pick what you want to display in the chart. If you keep clicking back, it will take you all the way back to, this is like a directory structure of information that you can graph. National economy, I assume, includes statistics from the neighboring cities. In this particular city, I turned off neighboring cities, so local economy and national economy should just be exactly the same. So I click on local economy, and then I've got categories of data points that I can chart. Such as population, education, workforce. In population, I've got population growth, homeless people. I like to have a nice chart of my population up kind of at all times so I can see, is what I'm doing causing the population to grow faster or slower than it has been. What else do we have? Education is another one that I look at quite a bit. You can see the charts I've got up here. Percent with no education. This one I'm always just trying to minimize this by building schools and universities. It seems to drive growth of your office buildings, your retail, and to a lesser extent your industrial, since those employ mostly people with education, whereas agricultural businesses employ more people with no education. So anyway, that's how you get to the charts that I'm looking at here. Again, just click on the men's room icon and then plus, and it will give you all your charts. And hopefully that's helpful. I was trying to understand exactly what the commenters were asking there. So hopefully that's what you're asking about. If not, just leave me another comment and I'll try and do a better job of explaining. The other thing you can do with each of these charts and how you get them here on the side is you click the little pin it icon or the thumbtack icon, and that will put this chart up here on the side so you can just always see it, and then you can click the X to get rid of it. If you minimize it while it's up here, it just shows you like a bar chart, like a bar graph type illustration of whatever metric you've got, and it can give you kind of a quick look view of, is this metric increasing or decreasing right now compared to what it has been over whatever the period of time you've selected. So what's cool about this is I can say, like for example here, I've got vehicles on the road. Let's get rid of this so I can show how I got this. So I want to see just what my vehicles on the road are doing over the course of one simulation day. So I'll set my chart scale just to 1 day, then I can pin this up here on the side, and then I can change my charts here back to whatever time scale I want to see, and it stays at 1 day here on the sidebar. So I can still look at my 5-year view here in my charts, but then I've got my 1 day view here. Now what's interesting is, like I said, I hadn't opened this in a few weeks, just due to other unnamed distractions. And so I opened it right about here. You can see every time you save and reload the game, or at least every time I've saved and reloaded the game, I'll have a spike in percent with no education. I'm not sure what's going on there, but you can see these are when I've exited the game and reloaded it, and then here's where the simulation's been running. So this is me opening it up today and just seeing what's been going on with the game. And the population increased significantly more quickly right after I loaded it. The density has been going down, so it's clear they've changed some things under the hood of the simulation. So now my city here that I haven't opened in several updates of the game is catching up, and it's trying to figure out what's this crazy dude been doing with the city layout, and how do I figure that out with all my new parameters. So should be very interesting to see how this one plays out. Although what I do plan to do is build another city with the new version just from scratch, so I can see how all the new version of the simulation is working. Oh man, if I look at all these different there are a bunch of my custom buildings in here. This is cool. Here's another one. This one I'm really not super happy about. This was the first one I built. I had no vision for what I wanted to create in a building. I really just wanted to make a custom building and see if it would show up. And it certainly did. A bunch of them showed up, and I wasn't really happy about it. So I ended up changing some of the parameters to see if I could get it to spawn less frequently. I think I had been participating pretty actively in the NewCity Discord, and there are a few users in there. I wish I remembered their names off the top of my head so I could shout them out, but they have created some amazing building designs that I can't really compete with. And they've been gracious enough to share them on the Discord, so I've added them in and they've spawned and they look really cool. I believe that is the case for this one, although I added their custom designs before the updates, and I don't think this antenna and heliport were possible before the update. So maybe they integrated those designs into the update, which would be super cool if the developers are integrating community content. That's awesome. I fully support that. Let's see. Let's look at, I saw another comment asking about how either tall building spawning or custom building spawning. So the way that I figured out how that works, let's save this and go to the building designer. Already saved it, it's fine. Okay, here we are in the building designer. And it just popped up. This is the custom building I was just showing that I made. So this is the design. I saw in the release notes they made a bunch of changes to how this works. I see some more buttons, an undo or redo button. Ah, so cool. But to get an idea of how this works, let's just do a new design. No, that's already saved. So like I was saying, the way that you make a building here is you have these different structures that you can pick from. Like a hip, I think that is, yeah, that's like a normal suburban type house roof structure. Let's get rid of that, see what else we got. A gable, that is the same sort of thing, but it's more like a barn. It doesn't have the slant on all four sides, it's just on two sides. Flat, that's pretty self-explanatory, just a flat roof. Barrel, this one's is more your barn shape. And when you place one of these shapes, it gives you a few different boxes you can drag around to adjust the scale and orientation of the shape you've placed. The red one looks like it just moves it around. The blue one rotates and expands in this axis, and then the green expands in the other axis and in the vertical axis. And it gives you an idea how many floors you've got. So in making a complicated looking building, you can combine all these different shapes to get the building shape and size that you really want. What is gambrel? Is that new? That's like the barrel, but a little bit less rounded. Oh, and look at all these. These are all new. Ah, that's perfect. I don't have to use the mouse. You can just punch in numbers and design things a little bit more mathematically. I like it. That is awesome. Then I saw there's some new decorations. That's the word I was looking for. The colors are different too. It looks great. Let's delete all of this business and let's just make something pretty simple. We're just gonna make a square building that is skinny and tall. 23 stories, that's good enough. Let's make it not completely totally boring. pipes? Pipe? What's a pipe? Oh, that could be like for an industrial building. Signs? Is a tree a sign? Oh, I didn't pick one, that's why. Health sign. Maybe this is a hospital. What's that? Oh. So if I wanted to, can I move it up? Location Z. Can I move? Oh, I can. Ah. These, this is exciting. The stuff people are going to come up with is going to be so cool. I am very excited. But catwalk? Catwalk, is that what? Oh man, all this new stuff. I'm sorry, I'm freaking out. This is too awesome. All right. Clearly, I'm not the best at a let's play style video here. Just figuring this out. All you don't want to see me just click on stuff and go, "Whoa, so cool," even though it is. So the reason I popped this up was to show, so okay, so we've designed a super cool building. We'll pretend this is it. And now I want it to populate in my city in some realistic way. Like I don't want this tall building just showing up when the game first starts right next to a bunch of rural houses. So this is going to be an office building, so we'll select office, and the textures for your buildings, I believe there's like a texture library for each different type of building that you want to use. We got mixed use, industrial, office, and then I believe it changes based on the height of the building. Maybe not. Okay, now that's tall enough. 41 stories. That's more like it. So we've got our 41. Ooh, didn't mean to do that. We've got our 41-story building, office building. We don't want any homes in it, but we're going to put 20 storefronts. 20 storefronts? So storefronts, that's going to be your retail businesses, the number of retail businesses that can be hosted out of this building. An office building, maybe your first floor, you've got some shops and some restaurants, things like that. But then up above that, it's all your offices. So maybe we'll just do 5 storefronts, 5 retail businesses. And then we got 41 stories. Every business is going to have their own. Maybe a few of them have 2 stories. So let's say 30 offices. So we'll have 30 office businesses and 5 retail businesses in this building. Of course, we could select any of these, but I'm trying to make it a somewhat realistic simulation of an office building. So that seems realistic enough. Now, this building will only spawn based on how I set these 2 selector bars here. I got land value and density. Yeah, these are just in increments of 1. And I know just from experience that, like in the city I was just showing you earlier, I think the density gets up to 8 in the most dense spots. And so maybe I'd like it to get a little bit more dense before this building starts showing up. So maybe I'd put minimum density 9 and land value 7, since your office buildings, they can pop up around your industrial places, which can bring down your land value a little bit. So anyway, based on how you set this, that's going to be how the building will actually show up in your city. Is if you've got this building design saved, you would save the design. Let's see, we are 1 by 2, I think. So this would, I would name it, they have O for office. No, I think the office buildings are C for commercial. So I would do C 2 by 1, and I name this zombie building, and then save it, and then go load up my city, and then there would be a chance that this building would spawn in locations that have a land value of 7, a density of 9, and a zoning of office. So hopefully that is a little bit helpful. Let's go back to my city. So I did that with this design. This is a residential building. And then not very long after I created it and saved it, it started popping up. Don't know if you could hear that, but it is about to thunderstorm outside. Yeah, the first one I did was this building design. Again, I mentioned I don't really like it, and one of the problems with it was I put the density required did not match very well the height of the building compared with other buildings that were spawning alongside it. So I ended up with a bunch of this building design showing up kind of around the edges of the denser areas, and it looked a little out of place. So like you can imagine, if one of these buildings popped up right around out here, that seemed to be kind of what was happening. And so I wasn't really happy with it. I went back in and edited it, the design to require it to have a higher minimum density, and then as things expanded outwards, it seems to have meshed in pretty well with what had spawned. So I think that's all I'll do for now. The next thing, I really need to create a new city in the new version, so I have a better understanding of all the new features, and I'm not just in shock and awe of everything that's been added since the last time I played it. I'm Zombie Greedo. Hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe it was helpful. Maybe it was obnoxious. Either way, I appreciate you watching. And I'm gonna leave you with a sort of time lapse I took of the traffic. Just maybe it's one of those infinitely satisfying videos just to watch the traffic flow around the city here for a little while. Have a good one. Remember, Han shot first.